Would you like to write a book, but you have no idea how to get started? I've got a couple of tips for you coming up. Hey guys and gals, boys and girls, authors and author wannabes, your old buddy Tim here, hoping you're having a fantastic day. This is the program where I address the questions asked by you, the viewer, when it comes to the topic of authorship, publishing. We talk about everything. We talk about writing, editing, publishing, marketing, you name it, anything with an ing on the end, pretty much we'll talk about on the program. I usually answer questions submitted by viewers like you. So if you do have a question about writing, anything at all, feel free to drop it in the comments below. And if I do use your question, you will get a free digital copy of one of my novels, absolutely free. It's almost as good as winning the lottery. Or maybe just the $5 scratch off. I don't know. So today's question was submitted by Diana. Diana says, Tim, I have been thinking about writing a book for quite a while. I've got the story all fleshed out in my mind, but I have no idea where to start. Tim, how do I start writing a book? Well, that's one of those questions, Diana, and thank you for it, by the way, that a lot of people think should be a no-brainer. Well, if you want to write a book, you just sit down and write. The people that give you that advice are typically people that are not writers. So how do you get started? At what point do you have to take all of that stuff that you've got jumbling around your brain and hopefully translate it out of your fingertips onto the keyboard? Believe it or not, you just sit down and start writing. I know. I just said that was terrible advice, but at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to. The key, however, in my mind, is you sit down and you start to write without worrying about the entirety of the story, every little plot point, every little character. Basically, Diana, the way that I start writing is I'll get an idea in this clunky head of mine. I'll sit down at a keyboard and I'll simply type out the overview. Okay, let's say, for example, my book, Sins of the Father, is about a teenage boy who has been raised by people that turned out not to be his parents. That was the original thought that came into my brain. And so I just sat down and started running that out. Okay, if I'm a 17-year-old boy, the book is set in 1978, and I realize that the people around me are not exactly who I thought they were, what would happen? I'm a big fan of giving an idea to the characters and letting them run with it, letting them build up. So when you do sit down and you just start writing, you're not really writing the book, you're just kind of fleshing things out. And I think that's the issue that a lot of writers, new and old, often face, is they feel that they have to sit down at that keyboard and write the perfect book, first draft all the way through. Gosh, that doesn't happen. That's not the way it works. You start with an idea and you build from that. Now, in another video, I'm going to talk a little bit about outlining, and that's what I do. I typically will outline my books, but then I actually take the outline and write from the seat of my pants. So I'm kind of a hybrid author. But you've got to have a general idea, because if you don't, it's really hard sometimes to progress. You hear authors talking about writer's block. And in my opinion, writer's block is nothing more than not knowing what to write. And that comes from not thinking out the entire story, not putting yourself into the head of your characters or yourself into the storyline. And so a lot of it has to do with inspiration. And you're going to find that too, Diana. You will start writing when inspiration drives you to the point of doing so, when you have no other choice but to sit down and start writing. But again, the key, Diana, is don't worry so much about quality. Don't try to sit down and write 100,000-word Scottish Highland epic romance all the way through. Start with an idea. Every book, great or not, starts with a thought and one sentence. And what I like to do is I like to put that sentence in the form of a question that I then write. If I'm a teenage boy in rural Alabama in 1978 and I discover that my parents are not who I thought they were, what would I do? And then from there, I expanded out exactly, okay, well, what were they lying to me about? What were the circumstances? What made them do what they did? What outside forces are at play? And before you know it, Diana, you not only have the seed of an idea, but you have pages and pages and pages of an idea. And that's how you start. You do just sit down or lay down or stand up or do whatever, but you put your fingers on the keys and you just start writing without worrying so much about quality and length and all those other things that you're going to worry about a lot down the road. Diana, I hope that was helpful. I tried to take a very simple answer and complicate it, which is what I do on this program. Sit down, write. Just don't be so concerned with getting everything right the first time, because I'll tell you this, your book is going to change. If you start out with the seed of an idea, even if you start out with an outline, which I'm going to talk about on another video, you have to be flexible enough to let the story arc and the characters dictate where that story goes. So regardless of what you do in the beginning, Diana, it's going to change. But my best advice is just sit down and write. Put some words on paper. Come up with that question and go from there. Diana, I hope that was helpful. You are going to get a free digital copy of one of my books just for asking the question in the comments below. If you would like to ask a question, again, it can be anything related to writing, publishing, marketing, Kindle, self-publishing, anything and everything. I'm pretty darn qualified to answer. Drop it in the comments below. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel. Also, I'm on Facebook. If you want to hunt me down over there, feel free, because I'm usually around. But remember, the purpose of all of this, Diana and everyone else, is to help you become a better writer. And I hope I've done that just a little bit today. All right, go write something. Go write something great.